Thanks, Ashley, and thank you to everyone for joining us here today for our webinar on streamlining plant and facilities projects with Meridian. Just a little bit agenda. Going to have a very quick Hagerman overview, then overview on Accruent and the Meridian product. Then we'll get into a demonstration focusing on the features and capabilities in Meridian for managing plant and facilities, projects, and files, and then wrap up with a Q&A. Just a little background on Hagerman & Company. We've been around, actually I can update my slide here, 35 plus years. We've been under the same ownership and management for the entire time. You can see we have offices spread out really through the entire United States and cover the entire US and also do projects out of the country. And we've been doing data management projects with products like Meridian for 23, 24 years now. And during that time, we have completed over 1,200 successful customer projects. So we've got a lot of knowledge and experience here in-house. Accruent is the parent company of the Meridian product. Meridian is one of the products in their portfolio, and they are specifically organized, they're specifically focused on helping organizations manage their physical resources, whether it's in the facilities area or in the plant area. So very much in line with what the Meridian product encompasses. And their software is really designed to help companies and organizations meet these workplace challenges, things like regulatory compliance, being more agile, dealing with the constant pressure to do more and more work, more and more product with less resources. At the same time, everything is getting more complex. And at the same time, with the baby boomers hitting retirement age, a lot of knowledge and experience walk out the door, which becomes, especially a challenge when you're trying to manage change. And then, of course, workforces are getting more and more distributed, both workplaces and facilities. I've got a quick 2-minute video I want to play that'll give a little bit more overview of the Meridian product in general, and then we'll move on. And again, one thing with the webinar, we're going to drill down and focus on the project capabilities. However, I don't want to do that without kind of giving everyone an overview of the total Meridian product, because I don't want people to come away thinking it's just for projects and project collaboration.
Your mission is to operate as efficiently, safely, and economically as possible. But problems often get in the way. Unplanned shutdowns, rework, accidents, non-compliance, equipment failure, and more. The impact these problems have on your organization can be huge. Millions of dollars in lost revenue, fines and lawsuits, danger to workers, environmental disasters, public safety concerns, and serious damage to your organization's reputation. Our mission is to make sure these problems don't get in the way of you achieving your mission. We provide software to manage your information throughout the asset lifecycle. This helps your organization to be in control by creating a single source of truth that centralizes data and knowledge. Compliant by managing data integrity for reduced risk and proof of control for easy audits. Aligned by empowering collaboration that connects your enterprise including managing concurrent engineering, external contractors, and data handover. Informed, by leveraging reports and dashboards to analyze performance and make better decisions. We also provide the flexibility to work how you want, storing data in the cloud or on a server, and working at your desktop or on your mobile phone or tablet. Built on 30 years of specialized knowledge and experience, Meridian is the preferred solution for leaders in a broad range of asset-intensive industries worldwide. It is currently trusted by more than 1,200 companies to manage over $1.5 trillion of assets, empowering the asset lifecycle today.
Now back to our PowerPoint. So with Meridian, one of its keys is seamless integration across a wide variety of needs and applications within the plant and facilities environment. But then what we're going to be concentrating on today is within these areas. Support for engineering and construction projects, allowing the separation between as-built or master or release files from your project copies, support for concurrent engineering, where you may have the same drawings or other files assigned to multiple projects simultaneously, and then within those projects collaborating with outside parties, whether they be architectural firms, engineering firms, contractors, equipment providers, and in an integrated environment, generating and sending transmittals, sharing files in a managed system in a cloud-based environment, and then importing new or updated documents back into your system from those outside suppliers. So again, on the seamless integration that Meridian provides, and we talked about seamless integration between release drawings and documents, and then your project or work in process files, between office staff and operations personnel, between your internal staff and your external contractors, engineers, and architects. And then also, we're not focusing on this as much today, but between your equipment asset records and the files that relate to them. It was mentioned a little bit in the video, but when you deploy Meridian, it is, again, very flexible in that your Meridian server can be deployed on-premise, in a company IT data center, or in the cloud, and then the Meridian clients that your users utilize can be desktop-based, browser-based, or mobile devices. And again, there's 3 different levels of the Meridian product. I won't spend much time here. With Meridian Enterprise, Cloud Business, and Cloud Project. And we're going to be looking at Meridian Enterprise and Cloud Project here today. Some of the other areas, again, just wanting to do the overview before we deep dive into the projects area. Meridian gives you a centralized, secure location for all of your data, documents, and knowledge. Gives you document revisioning, revision history, document audit trails, workflows for managing change processes, including doing that from mobile devices, helps you be compliant to all kinds of industry standards, including features like electronic signatures, watermarks, print stamps, very much enhanced access rights and role-based security to documents and workflows, fully configurable, integration with a lot of different systems, especially like maintenance and asset management systems, all different CAD, Microsoft Office, email, asset management, ERP systems, all the work tasks that get assigned in Meridian can have email notifications associated with them, searching and retrieving documents, very nice, very detailed, easy to use search interfaces so people can quickly and easily find the drawing or document they need, or retrieve documents just by scanning barcodes on a piece of equipment out in a facility. Reporting tools, dashboards, just kind of a quick overview of some of the scope of the capabilities within Meridian. Now, within the projects area, which again is where we want to focus on, Meridian does project file management. Meridian is not a project management system, having features and capabilities like Microsoft Project or Primavera Project. Meridian is mostly focused on managing the files associated with those projects and their workflows and statuses, that kind of thing. And there are a lot of tools out there to help you manage files for a project. Cloud-based collaboration tools for sharing project files. A lot of products out there for that, and Meridian does that. Then there's also a lot of on-premise document management systems. What Meridian does is give you capabilities of doing both in one single integrated system. And then also control all of the workflows, both for individual files and the overall project workflow, which we'll show and talk about a little bit more. We talked about concurrent engineering, where Meridian can allow you to have the same drawing or document assigned to multiple different projects at the same time and manage and track all that. And then at the end of a project, because you're in a single integrated environment, when the new as-built are created at the end of a project, they can automatically be released as new as-built or master documents for your operations staff to start utilizing. And then I mentioned before, cloud-based collaboration. If you're sharing files for a project with outside contractors, you may not want them coming into your network. So for the project collaboration portion, that's a cloud-based tool, but it then will integrate and communicate with your on-premise internal Meridian system. Just some screenshots from Meridian before we get into the demonstration. You'll see how, we talked about the integrated environment. So in my demonstration vault, I've got a masters area and a projects area. And in my masters area, my documents are, in this case, and you can do it however you want, controlled by the plant, the discipline, and then the subcode. And I can browse or search for a file, click on it. I can view it right in Meridian. I can see detailed properties associated with that document. I can view these properties. I can edit these properties. I can search on these properties to find files. Then I can also see, for this master document, any project it's currently assigned to. So my people out in the plant, they're doing their maintenance and repairs off of this document. Meanwhile, this drawing has been assigned to a project, and we can track that and go to the project document. And so that file, my project copy, is down here in my projects area, and we can see its current workflow status within the project. So now if we jump over to Meridian itself, and my demonstration environment, I'm sitting in my office running the Meridian client, and I'm actually connecting to a remote Meridian server that is sitting in a Microsoft data center. And I'm going to go into Meridian Cloud Enterprise, go into my Power client, And actually, it remembered the last document I was on when I was out, so I came back into that document. So now you can see here's that structure, and so you can develop an organized structure for documents however you want. So you can see my masters or release documents are organized by the plant, the discipline, and then the discipline subcode. Or I can get down into that same area we were looking at before. So there's that document, and like we saw before, I can view it here. Again, it's pulling that drawing over the internet, so you see just a little bit of a lag. If my Meridian server was on premise, it would be a bit quicker. And then for each document, like you saw, I can see detailed information about it. Now these property pages are all configurable, and these are properties of the release document. When a drawing is assigned to a project, it may have other particular project properties associated with it. I can also, for any document, I can see its revision history and go back to those past revisions and view those if necessary. For any document, not getting into this as much today, but here are all of the pieces of equipment in my plant or facilities that this document relates to. And I can actually search or browse for pieces of equipment or assets in Meridian and then find all the documents that relate to it. And then here I can see, here's my master or release documents, and here's all of the projects that it's currently assigned to. You can see this file is actually just assigned to one project. And then down here in my projects area, and again, this is totally configurable based on your needs. In this environment, we've got different types of projects. Like an administrative change, that's more just kind of fixing or making a minor edit to a drawing. Then we can also get into major projects, and we've got 3 major projects going on here in our organization. And then your subfolder structure within the project hierarchy, that's however you want to organize it. So if we go back to that master that I had, go back to that file, and then if we click on my project copy, it will take me directly to it, and it's down here in this project folder. So these are 2 separate copies of the same file, but they're linked together. So we would make our changes within the project area, then when everything is done and approved, we would release it as a new master, and it will follow the link back and update and rev that master. So in fact, if we see that in operation, for instance, I'll just do a quick search here on CTD, and let's grab this one, and I'm just going to do something simple. I know in your projects and actual work, you may have hundreds or thousands of files assigned to a project. I'm just going to work with a single file. So I can say, I can take this master or release, and instead of in other systems where you do like a check out, and then you directly checked out the master, you can do that in Meridian, but in a plant or facility environment, a lot of times it's easier and better to actually create an isolated project copy separate from the master, but still linked to it, so there's no interference or confusion from your operations and maintenance people, grabbing something that's still work in process and making an error or causing an accident because they've grabbed something that's not released yet. And it knows I'm with Hagerman, so Meridian knows automatically put it in the Hagerman project area, because the way we've got it configured. And so now we have Actually, so we can see in this case, this released file, it's got two simultaneous projects going on at the same time. I can go to the Hagerman copy, and it's down here. Of course, if we view it, it still looks the same. I was playing around this morning and drew that circle just as a change. So now if I want to make a change to this, I can just right-click and say open, and because I have the access rights, I can open this read-only, but because I have the access rights, I can say I want to start a change. And that will open it right up into AutoCAD for me. Now we'll just get rid of that circle I did earlier today. And then check in my change. So now the circle is gone. Now we can also go over here. You can see when I did that open and said I wanted to start the change, it launched this workflow process in Meridian. So it automatically placed it under change. Now I'm ready. I've made my change. It looks good. With the workflow capabilities, I can say start my review process. And Meridian can be set up so that, based on who my supervisor is or based on the discipline of the drawing and the plan it's associated with, it automatically picks the reviewer. Just to streamline things, it's just automatically picking me as the reviewer, so I don't have to log out and log into somebody else. Can prompt me for additional property information. And now you can see it has transitioned the file to review. And then your reviewer can get email notification with a link to the file in it. And so then they would be able to view. Okay, so here's the new file. If they go to the History tab, they would be able to compare these two. And then if everything looks okay, we can approve. So now workflow is complete on that drawing within the context of a project. Now, I did one drawing within the context of a project. Again, you may have hundreds or thousands of drawings that all need to be reviewed and approved within the context of that project, either at the design stage or the as-built stage. Then, when the construction is complete or the new equipment is in place, but not until then, do you want your operations and maintenance staffs accessing those files. So again, we're still down here. This file is in the project area. But our master or released revision, it still has the circle in it because we have not yet said release as master revision. I'm doing it on one drawing. You can do that handover process on hundreds or thousands at once. But I can say release as new master revision. And that actually we're set up, it's automated, don't have to do this, but actually since this project is done now, it's actually moved this file to an archive area. But you can leave your legacy projects in place, so you can always go back to an old project and see exactly what you did in that project. But now if I go to my masters area, So now my master is updated. The circle is gone. If I went back, right-clicked on that file, and I could I can actually compare between the two revisions, or I could view my old revision. You could see the circle was still there. So it's having that, the separate released file area, project file area, but have everything be able to link and synchronize between the two allows Meridian to very easily manage files for projects. Going a little bit further on things, we kind of touched on this about concurrent engineering, where you've got multiple overlapping or concurrent projects going on at the same time within your facility, and can get very complicated managing files associated with that. We've already kind of touched on it, but here you can see graphically we've got projects A, B. We've got projects A, B, C, and D. My horizontal axis represents time. So project A gets started, the drawing gets assigned to it, the engineering stage is completed, but then along the way, actually A, B, C, and D are, revision letters. CP1, 2, 3, and 4 are projects. So along the way, project 2 gets started. At the end of the design or engineering phase, changes from project 1 can get incorporated into project 2. So again, Meridian helps you manage those overlapping and concurrent projects. Also, in the little demonstration I gave, I really just focused on the workflow for an individual document within a project. But also in Meridian, you can create workflows that control and govern a project as a whole. So you can see, a document workflow would be, I've got a release document, we start a change, the document controller engineering manager assigns it to a drafts person, they make the change, send it for approval, it gets issued. Of course, problems along the way, the workflow can route it back. Whereas a project workflow would be, we develop the project specification, we start the design work on the project, the package of documents is issued for approval. If it's approved, then the package of documents is issued for construction. Construction is done, project is signed off. So in this case, you may assign a bunch of documents to the project, and then that group of documents can be launched into their individual workflows, where each document is treated individually, and then each individual document is reviewed and approved. And then when all of the individual documents have been reviewed and approved, that whole project package can be issued for approval. And until all of the documents come back, that project workflow would be locked from moving on. Of course, in some cases in large projects, they're done in phases, and Meridian would support that as well. Now moving into the Meridian 360 portal for engineering collaboration. Here we've got our on-premise or Meridian for internal document control, which is what we've just taken a look at. And then the Meridian portal can really work completely standalone, or it can integrate and synchronize with your on-premise Meridian to support collaboration with EPC, suppliers, customers, contractors, subcontractors, and so on. And we'll take a look at just a short background video on it.
Plan modifications are needed to ensure profitability and regulatory compliance. Increasing technological complexity requires specialists from all over the world to contribute to capital projects, expansions, overhauls, and change projects. Information exchange processes must be optimized to avoid uncontrolled document sharing, incomplete handovers, and project delays. Untitled Meridian 360 portal enables the entire supplier network to collaborate in the cloud without giving direct access to your internal network, master data, or workflows. Meridian 360 portal assures data consistency, completeness, and regulatory compliance while minimizing costs related to the handover of critical engineering content. Owner-operators get plant modification projects delivered ahead of time, maximizing the profitability of their assets. Meridian 360 portal, collaboration in the cloud.
All right, a few more slides here, then we'll get into the demonstration. So, the key capabilities of the Meridian 360 portal, it allows you to manage a portfolio of projects, do some cloud-based document control with outside suppliers for those projects, distribute files out to them, review files as they come back in, be able to audit files, generate reports, and then do bulk uploading and downloading, which that can be done from the file system or integrated and done automatically in conjunction with workflows in your on-premise Meridian. And so here you can kind of see a workflow scenario in the case where Meridian and the portal are working together. I won't go through all of the details on this. And then some screenshots. So in the portal, everything is project-based. So you can have multiple projects going on, and then those different projects may have different managers. They may have different outside suppliers working with them. They may be at different states. So all that can be controlled and tracked and managed separately. Then within a project, you can see details on it, name, who created it, when it was created, who are the different people either within your organization or outside who have access to the project and what their particular role is. And then as they get tasks assigned to them, the Meridian portal will send email notifications to them. Then kind of the hierarchy within the Meridian portal is, you've got the portal site for your company. On that site, you can be managing multiple different projects. And then within those projects, you can have different packages, where a package is like a collection of documents. Because of the size of projects you're typically dealing with, you don't necessarily want to be browsing through thousands of documents. So most incoming or outgoing files are in conjunction with a transmittal of a group of documents, and that's kind of what packages relate to. So we can see, here's a particular package, its name, why was it issued, who's the owner, description, and then here are all the individual documents within that package. And then as packages are created and sent, transmittal records are automatically created and included in the package. And then your outside suppliers, of course, they probably don't have Meridian, so after they make changes and send new or updated documents, they can send a upload and send a package back to you. And then as you send each package or transmittal, information can be input and tracked with it. And then there's also integrated online viewing with the portal. So now if we look at the portal in action, I've already got it open, let me hit home. So this would be my home or landing screen for the portal. And here you can see, each person when they go in, they've kind of got their to-do list. I've got some stuff to review. I've not received. I'm basically in the role of the internal project document controller for the internal organization. I've not received any new packages for review. And here are the recent projects that I've worked on. There's only actually one project in this instance, so it could list more projects here, or if I hit view all, it would list all of the projects we've got going on. Now when I go into a project, I can see a dashboard of, there's 31 documents in this project, and I can see how many are in progress of being changed, how many have sent out, how many are waiting to be reviewed, and then I can also see things from a package basis. There's always going to be the same or fewer packages than there are documents, because typically you're putting a number of documents into a given package. Now I can go in and say, here's all of my documents for the project. Typically that's going to be a big list, but then you can go in and filter the documents that are shown by the status, the due date type, all document type, so discipline. So I can say, just show me ones that are awaiting my review. So here's all the documents in the project that are awaiting my review, and I can see a dashboard with information on all of them. I can view a document. I can also go in and see more details. So I can, the Meridian portal can track document properties. Also, it checks compliance. So when somebody uploads a file, it'll do a compliance check to make sure everything is kosher with it before it's accepted. And I can scroll through these documents. And let me clear that filter. So each document can be individually reviewed and approved. And then we can also go in and check and approve a package. So it's got the capability for reviewing each individual document. Then as each individual document is approved, then the entire package can be approved and routed to the next state. And again, so all of this can be done in the context of the portal by itself. So it can be a standalone tool. Like there's other project collaboration, CAD-oriented project collaboration tools out there. So Meridian portal can work standalone like that, or it can work in conjunction with Meridian. So if we go back to that workflow that we looked at before, so when we started the change process on that drawing, it routed to under change. I checked it out locally on my computer, and then when I was done, I sent it for review. Now this same workflow, I could have right-clicked on one or more documents and then said send out, and that would have taken that file or files from my internal Meridian system and automatically posted them to the correct project in the Meridian portal. and then whoever we had set up as our project partners, they would have gotten an email notification, so they could then download that file, make the change, file or files, then do an upload package to post their changes back to the Meridian portal, which would then sync those changes down as work in process in Meridian back to my internal Meridian system, where they can then be reviewed. And that's kind of the unique thing about Meridian, is that it synchronizes both environments together. So that concludes what I had down to show here today. As I actually mentioned, for any questions, you can submit those through the question panel in your meeting interface. Let me get that opened up and see if we have any questions so far. In the meantime, I think Ashley may have some other wrap-up information to go over.
I do. There are a couple things in there. Do you want to?
Yeah, I guess I see one about in-country cloud storage. For the Meridian 360 portal, that does use a Microsoft data center in the eastern United States. For outside the U.S., I'd have to check and see what other data centers there are for what particular countries. But for the U.S., it is U.S.-based. Okay. I got my question panel drug. It was hiding some stuff. Looks like earlier I had a question about the slideshow available in print. Actually, can they send in a request if anyone would like a PDF of the slideshow?
Yes, we could do that.
Okay, it looks like that person that asked that has left, but
Okay.
Someone can request that. Also, you will get a link to the meeting. Okay, and I think I answered the one about the in-country data center storage. I can see the whole question now, but I think I got that answered. So we can wait a bit, see if we have any other questions coming in.
Okay, great. Well, and if you guys think of additional questions later, you can simply reply to that confirmation or reminder email that you've received from GoToWebinar, and we can get those to Matt or your sales rep or whoever to get your questions answered. Once again, if you could take just a few moments to fill out the survey, we would appreciate it. It will just pop up as we close down today. And it looks like maybe there's another one in there.
Yeah, the 360 portal, it's basically software as a service, so it's not installable on any other cloud provider. And I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Matt, for the presentation, and thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great day.